There we go. I'm going to call to order this special meeting of the Carson City Airport Authority on Wednesday, April 7th at 5:35 roughly. And I'd like to have a roll call and determination of a quorum, please.
Chairperson Golden,
Present.
Vice Chair Harris,
Present.
Treasurer Rogers,
Here.
Member Jones, Member Hamilton,
Here.
Member Pulitz,
Present.
Member Hutter.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Fantastic. Paul, all the way down there, can we ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So if everybody could pardon me, I'll turn my microphone away when need to, but these new mics had a hard time turning it on. Finally got it on, now I can't turn it off. So we're doing a few housekeeping matters at this meeting besides the core of our meeting, which we'll get into in just a moment. The first housekeeping matter we are going to be doing is approving the minutes of our regular meeting from Wednesday, March 17th of this year. Anybody have any comments or any requested revisions for that meeting minutes? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the draft minutes as submitted for our Wednesday, March 17th meeting.
I move.
Thank you, John. We have a second?
Second.
Kind of a challenge there, isn't it, Carl?
It is. Now let's see if we can get it off.
I couldn't get mine off, so. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 17th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Bradley, were you a yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We're not modifying the agenda this evening, so we will move on to public comment, which we have not received any. But if there are any members of the public who have dialed in that would wish to comment at this time, now would be the appropriate time to hear from them.
I have two callers on the line.
Oh, fantastic. Let's hear them.
Caller after the beeps, please state your name for the record. Caller, it's your turn to speak. Caller after the beeps, please state your name for the record. Caller, it is your turn to speak. After the beeps, please state your name. I guess we do not have public comment.
Okay, perhaps we can figure that out while we move on to our public hearing. And if we do have public comment, maybe we can bring those two people back. We'll have another opportunity. I don't want to shut out the public in any way, shape, or form. So the core of this evening's meeting is the discussion and possible action of hiring a new airport manager. And we've tasked Bradley Harris, who's done a commendable job with refining the job description and notice of job offering. So I'm going to turn this over to Bradley for discussion. Go ahead.
I'm on. Let me just go through a list of things that we hope to figure out tonight, and then we'll go back through them. But the first thing is just making sure the job description is a good reflection of what we're looking for. So when I come back around, if you have any suggested changes, emphasis, anything like that, or questions, let's go through them. Number two is we want to be, I think we want to be ready for board interviews for the May board meeting. But we also have the option of just doing a special board meeting. This will, as I recall, this took a while last time, so we could talk about that, whether when the time comes, I guess, we can decide if we want to do it one way or the other. But what I will do now is shoot for the May board meeting, unless somebody wants to do something differently there. We do need to agree on what the deadline for applications should be. We don't want to go too fast or slow there, but we do need to put a date in there so that we can say, that's it, and not take any more. We also need to say, this position needs to be filled by, only because they asked that on the website that I'm going to be posting it on, the Southwest, I guess it's the AAAEP or something like that.
AE.
AAAE. So, and that is, that's the place we'll post it, and they want to know when this position is supposed to be filled by. So I think that we'll have the deadline, and I'll add a certain number of weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. Truth of the matter is, we probably won't make either of those. It just takes a while to do this, but we'll put it in there. We'll need an interview panel, and I plan to be on the interview panel, so we'll need 2 more people. Prior to that, there'll be phone screening, and I'll be happy to do the phone screening with the individuals just to make sure that the people are appropriate and we're not wasting the time of the interview panel. Then the question is, how many do we want to interview at the interview panel level, and how many do we want to come to the board after that? In the past, the last time we did it, I think we interviewed 4 at the panel level and 2 at the board, but I'm open to any suggestions there. And I think while we may come down to, gee, I'd like to do this way, if we get some really good resume, maybe we'll open it up more. And if we just have, it's not a week, it's a week batch, then we may do something different. But I just liked your ideas there. And then, it's what I will do is prepare interview questions and a rating tool for the interview for the panel of 3 people, so that we have a consistent way to do that. And then once we've decided on the 2 or 3 people that are going to be coming up, then it'll be up to the board to interview and to, vote on who we want to have as our next airport manager. So let me go back over this. Any suggestions on the job description?
Paul?
There's a couple of just wordsmithing here earlier, but I think what we really want to do is add a little section here that says, and I just wrote something out here, maintains close coordination with the CAA board for all potential and ongoing business development, infrastructure, and airport projects. I think that's something that we didn't really have here in the past, that I think if we can get a little bit more board coordination, and I think that should be in the job description here. Okay. And number 2, accepts direction from CAA board. I think those are 2 things that we've been kind of missing that need to be up front here. Okay. And then I've just got a couple other things here. If we go down to I'll call it the 1, 2, 3, the paragraph that says ensues compliance. We go to the very end of that, and instead of saying including several types of aircraft, I think we should be including types of aircraft operating at airport. Just a little wordsmithing there. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any other input, changes, suggestions?
John or Carl? Tim?
Nope.
Does anybody have any objection to?
Carl, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I just was trying to refine my place. I might just add, and maybe tell me if it's already covered enough, but in the paragraph 3rd from the bottom of the first half, regarding the FAA, maintains a sound working relationship. I might only just I might only just add one sentence in there that kind of, or clause that speaks to advocacy around airport improvement, AIP grant. Securing AIP grants for the continued funding of improvements to the airport. Just knowing that aspect of the FAA relationship in particular is a really important one.
Okay. Can nobody has any objection to any of those suggested changes, I hope?
No.
If I can count on each of you to just email me the suggested changes you have, or mark up what you have and give it to me tonight, that's even better, then I will make those changes.
Okay. You and I talked about this, Bradley, but I think the whole airport authority needs to hear this, which is, and I think there is, I think this touches on it. I think there just needs to be what I'll call more focus on it. Maybe it doesn't even need to be in here, but there needs to be, and we have the word in there, but there needs to be a focus on business development. And it is, again, I want to make real clear, it's in there under job qualifications, airport administration, public relations, business development, and capital project management. And that captures what Carl just said and what Paul said, those two. There really needs to be a focus on business development, because when we have 48 acres of leasable land available, and that's where the airport generates the core of its revenue, we need someone who's focused like a laser on business development. Do we want to put this in job description? I don't know.
I think we can.
That's your discretion.
Yeah.
If you want to make that more of a
We
priority,
could,
it's your discretion as far as I'm concerned.
okay.
Well, Vice Chair Harris, I
Way
think
to make it sound elegant.
that what the chairman is talking about might just be an amplification of the last line in the fourth paragraph from the bottom that ends by attracting new business airport tenants and based aircraft. Maybe somewhere in that paragraph.
Sure. All right. John?
I think a focus on economic development is correct, but I just want the board to hear from me that our real customer, our real most important customer is the FAA. And we certainly have had issues that, we want development as long as it complies with all FAA requirements, because by far our biggest provider of funds is FAA. They're the only customer that we can't live without at the airport.
And I think Paul addressed that in his comments, if I'm not mistaken, so he did. But I hear you. Okay. Tim, I would feel terrible if you didn't say anything about this. Everyone else has.
No, as far as the verbiage on the attraction is all fine with me, what everyone said. I don't want to limit us to it, as you said before, I don't want to limit us to a specific time frame or amount of candidates as a mandatory number. I would like to use them as guidelines if that's possible.
Right.
And I also would like to be able to forward this application to outside of the official the executive association if people inquire. So is that all agreed upon by the board? If someone would like to have a chance to see this application process that is in
I
Tim
think
too?
that's very important, because
Okay. Just so we all understand that there'll be people, I've gotten calls already, people, I heard there's an opening, can I apply? And right now I'm saying, send me your contact information, I'll get back to you. I didn't get any past that, but
Tim, you bring up a good point, and I should have thought of it. We do have the option of just putting it on our website as well.
I think we should.
we should.
That way we can say, go to our website if you have a question, and
Yeah, I think we need to cast a wider net than the AAAE.
Yeah.
One of the best airport managers I ever worked with in my life was the former base commander of Marine Corps Air Station Miramar.
Yeah.
He then went on to be the manager of San Diego County Airports. He then retired, and an airport knew that he lived right near that airport, and they recruited him out of retirement, and he took the job. I mean, he lives down in Genoa now, but he was manager at Lake Tahoe Airport for quite a while and did just a bang up fantastic job. He's a retired Marine Corps colonel, and he's not a guy who ever participated in AAAE, and they found him, he didn't find them. So
Okay,
Well, good. As long as we're all on the same page, I'm fine.
I
Just,
think
I don't
we are.
want to just
That's
have us
fine.
locked into specific.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
The more the merrier.
So I guess the next question I have for you is, what do you think in this situation, what do you think would be a reasonable amount of time from the time we post it to the deadline date? How long?
60 days? Is that enough?
I was thinking 45.
I'm just, yeah.
I like 45.
Okay,
Carl, what do you say?
These are terrible.
I
Are,
know.
are these, is this days from the time?
Yeah,
of-
days from posting to
Days
close
from
it out.
posting to closing it out? Well, I'll feel different depending on whether there are 5 great candidates or there's one. I always like these things to come down to, as I say to our recruiters, I want a 1A and a 1B, right? And a really tough choice between them. So a lot of this is, is open-ended, but 45 days, I mean, Tim would like to see 30. 45 days, I think, keeps things moving. The real key is, not knowing and not having recruited in this space, what's the sweet spot? Are the people who are interested and eligible sort of out there? And if you don't see them in 45, you're not going to see them in 60?
yeah, right. Well,
I'm with you on that, Carl. I would just say that as long as we reserve the right to extend if we feel necessary, that's all that I'm concerned
right.
about.
Well, actually, we can, because the main site we're using doesn't ask for a deadline. It's normal to do that, but what we can say is, basically steal the language from the state of Nevada, and that is the the recruitment will stay open until you have appropriate candidates.
Right.
So we
Gives us
can
flexibility.
skip around that. It's just that without a due date, people don't have the urgency. At the same time, a motivated candidate does not need urgency.
Right.
So
Right.
okay.
Agreed.
Paul, you want to
Yeah,
weigh
I
in?
mean, a lot of it depends on Tim, how long you can reasonably step into the position. If he says 60, then that's a good start. But I think 45 is a good number. But we may need to extend that depending on the situation.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's go with 45, Bradley.
Okay.
And that date's not the same as when they have to have their butt in the seat.
Right.
That's if they say, okay, but I can't start for another 60 after that. I mean, that's a
That's up
different,
to
that's a
us.
different number.
Yeah, well, here we're just asking about the deadline for the application,
Exactly.
right? My next topic here is the interview panel. So we need 2 victims.
Can I opine on this matter?
Certainly.
Okay. Because I did receive unofficial public comment on this particular matter, and I happen to agree with it. I heard from more than one member of the public who didn't put it in writing but placed phone calls to me. I actually agree with what they had to say. We have a lot of hangar owners on the airport. These are not tenants, they're owners. It's akin to a homeowners association. Okay, they lease the land, but they own the building. That gives them a little more right than a tenant, if you will. And I had 2 requests independent of one another, call them suggestions, and I agree with them. I think we ought to have a couple of representatives from our owner associations, and they even refer to them as hangar associations or condo associations on the airport. I think we need to have outside representation on this interview panel. We can't be shoving down the throats of our customers someone when people didn't have the opportunity to opine and weigh in. I really feel it's important because these are the people that have to live with the manager day in, day out. And I know that expands the panel, if you will, and maybe makes work a little more difficult. But in this case, I tend to agree with that suggestion, unless someone can give us a bona fide reason not to. I think it's something we should be doing. Now, how we attract those people or who we select from, the hangar associations, I don't know. Not sure what mechanism we want to use, but I think it's important that our, hangar owners, operators are represented. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, if anybody wants to comment.
I actually really like that idea, but I think that we need to have that group not be the majority of the panel.
Never suggested it should be. I'm just saying representation.
I would even suggest have them sit in the interviews, but they don't actually have a vote, just the ability to give us recommendations based on their interview results is a possibility as well. Because I'm not sure if, Mr. Takis, could we actually, is that even appropriate to have them actually have a vote on a?
Well, I mean, you can take their recommendations, but ultimately it's only this body, the 7 of you, that are going to vote on
Right.
the critical steps. And so I think it's a good suggestion, includes the representation, let them have input to the process.
Input.
But there shouldn't be any votes by the committee that will eliminate things. The votes should come from this body as a whole, and I think that's what the open meeting law requires whenever you're dealing with committees. An action that would have had to have been taken in an open meeting.
As a follow-up to that?
There may be a, oh, go
Or
ahead.
Just a quick question on that process, and we'll get back to the users, because I think it's a great idea to give voice, transparency, participation, and it'll head off at the pass, some sort of like, well, we didn't have a say in this, right? So I think that's great, but we'll get back, just the question I had for Steve was, as a subgroup, as that panel that was discussed, does it have the authority and the ability to down select from a big pool to a small pool?
Without the input of the rest of the authority, no. The open meeting law, particularly I think it's the Sandoval case, says that when a subcommittee takes an action that would ordinarily be taken by the full committee, it turns into its own open meeting law criteria. And I don't think we want to do all of this process in open meetings. I mean, it's just too cumbersome to get anything done. And so my recommendation would be you get the announcement out there, you get them back all in, and this body does a narrowing, and you'll probably narrow it on the basis of recommendations from, your committee, but this body narrows it and this body decides on the rest of the process.
So the
Much of which,
official narrowing happens right here.
Yeah, and it's really what Member Harris is describing right now. What is the process we're going to use? And
Well, that's not exactly the process as I recall it last
Yeah.
time. But we did use a panel of 3, and that panel interviewed 4 people and then reduced the number to 2, and the 2 went before the board, so.
right. I think what happened there is we also left it open that anybody else could be brought in, so we could cover ourselves on the open meeting law.
Mhm.
So I think you're right. I think that is the process that we used, but we left it open because we wanted to make sure we didn't step on that requirement of the open meeting law. And so we could do the same thing again here.
So that would give people the ability then to opine on the matter when it went before an interview panel. Is that what you're saying? Members of the public?
I'm not following you.
Okay, if we noticed this process, subcommittee interview panel,
Yeah.
if we noticed it, members of the public would be able to attend. Is that correct or incorrect?
Well, if you notice it as a public meeting, yeah, members of the public should have access and should be able to attend either virtually or in person. But I think what we're really talking about is you do the announcement, you get a bunch of responses. What do you do next? And if I understand what Member Harris is saying, we need a process by which there's a committee that can do the hard work of separating out who fits into which box. And ultimately, that's going to result in a smaller group that you get follow-up from and an even smaller group where you do interviews. I mean, and his recollection of last time around is the same as mine. We got down, we interviewed 2 candidates.
I think one of the ways we functioned on that, Steve, my memory's getting better as I sit here. And that's funny because I'm getting older as I sit here. But as I recall, the board empowered Larry to do the phone screening and not look at it from the standpoint of who do you like and who you don't, but who is qualified for the position based on the job requirements, all right? So it would be clearly, does this person belong or does this person not belong on the interview list? So that would be a pretty clear distinction. And so you all would vote to let me do the screening based purely on qualifications, not whether I liked the cut of the jig, right?
I can get behind that.
Okay, and then if there's somebody in there, or let's say we have a weak pool, okay, and there's somebody in there that I say, we ought to talk to this person, but the qualifications are not there, then I have to come back to the board and get another round of votes so we can do that, because, based on and fortunately, we didn't have that situation before. But if we were to say that, gee, we should talk, would say, we don't have enough and we need to talk to this person, but they're not qualified, then I need to get an okay from the group. But I think that was our logic, was that as long as we're looking purely at what's on their application and the calls we are making is to confirm that information, then the phone screening is okay because you've said, find out who's qualified. And then return to the board.
I think that makes sense. I recall we had some kind of a matrix thing. that
We did, and
used. Yeah.
I've got it, and I'll put it together. The only
great.
thing I will do is add we'll be much clearer about the user satisfaction, and we'll be much clearer about our expectations on economic development, especially when it comes to the 48 acres.
Okay, so I think we're going the right direction, but as far as allowing some of the airport community to be involved, I would be very supportive of having the community involved. Once we've narrowed it down to that interview group, that we had maybe 1 or 2 of the group participate in the interview process, but I still would, my preference would be that they give us input, but we as a committee still are the ones that forward on the finalists, using their input as part of our decision-making. Does that?
That's an option. The other one I thought of, and this would depend on at what point in the process you want to do this, but we could have a meet the candidate night, and let anybody on the airport come out and talk to the people that, we might even be able to do it here, but I think the airport's better. And if let's say we narrow it to 2 or 3, and we ask those people and just say, part of the deal is you show up for this so you can meet the people that are interested in knowing you. And
I like that.
Yeah,
Now, I'll tell you why I like that. I like that a lot, Bradley. Last go around, and I don't remember everything, it was so many years ago. I don't remember how we got from 4 to 2, but we did. I do remember the meeting with the 2, but I'll tell you what I really like about that. We had some people last time who did not want to come here. They wanted to do everything over the phone. I don't like that.
yeah.
I want them to see the airport. That is a great idea.
Yeah, this would be a chance for them to see the airport, get the tour.
Meet the tenants,
Right.
meet the owners, meet the business owners, and we could host it either at the terminal or outside the terminal. We could have a barbecue. that is a perfect idea. Steve, you're looking at me. Do you see a problem with it, or
I think that's a great idea.
I would?
We might have to notice it because
Well, we're
we
gonna
all
have
want
to
to be
notice
there.
We're going to have to notice, and it
Yep.
it should be the full airport authority should be available to be there.
Mhm.
Maybe not there, but
Yeah,
I
you know,
like
we
I
could-
like that idea.
We could ask the candidates to each give their spiel, so that everybody can hear them, It's like a mini, well, it's not like a mini interview, it's a very important interview, but here, this is what we're gonna have you do, show up and give your 5 minutes, and then you can go out among the
and answer
the
questions.
members and talk to them individually and sit down and have burgers. And we'll be watching you every minute.
Could you kind of put that into a more specific agenda item, or not agenda, but a more specific chain of events so we can just put this together?
Well, the chain of events, as I see it, is we would, we're going to put the application out, the 45 days. We're going to get our applicants. You're going to say, yeah, it's okay for you to do the checking of the credentials. Then we're going to narrow that down to a certain number of people that have applied based on their credentials. We're going to have the interview panel of 3 people, interview them and make a recommendation to the board of 2 or 3 people, depending on who the number we choose, to come back for a get to know the airport meeting. Based on that, then we may decide we want to talk to 2 or 3, all of them, or maybe a couple of them, or maybe just one of them. That can be based on what we see, but then we decide who we want to see in the final board meeting, and the board does the interview and they do the vote.
I'm all for it.
I'd like to comment that, I think we're really close, Bradley. And what I would like to add is that when we go qualifications first, we delegate that authority to you. Now we have to cull that group of qualified candidates down to a group of 4. And that's our opportunity to have that be done with our panel, with or without tenant involvement. And I'm thinking it'd be better to
Yes,
have it with
exactly.
tenant involvement, right? So we convene the panel, we interview all of the qualified candidates. That panel makes a recommendation to the airport authority for the 4 people that they think ought to move forward. Now it's meet and greet time to the bigger community. Then we cull down to 2, we interview and choose.
I'm okay with that,
That,
as long as we find somebody that actually wants to do that.
But let's keep that as an option.
Okay.
I like your idea.
And there's enough details here that I will need to capture this and send it out to you all, but I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, you heard the process, then it's going to be, there'll be for the interview panel, we'll have this rating tool you spoke of, and it really, just as when I'm phone screening them, I'm going to be doing more or less that, a rating for each of these. Do they make it or don't they? In this case, it's going to be a point system to say, for economic development, they're a 4 out of 5. For safety, they're a 3 out of 5, or however we're evaluating them. And we have those categories, we know what they are. And basically, then everybody adds up their numbers for each candidate. We add it up for the 3, and we have our top people. However many we interview, we have our top people. That, and that's, again, a pretty systematic approach, and it's something that the board can give the authority to the panel to do that. After that, when it comes to this board, then it's, a little bit more of a free-for-all, where you get to ask the questions you want to ask. barring anything about, that might be considered illegal or untoward, but you wouldn't do that. And then we vote for our favorite candidate. And because there's 7 of us, one of them will win. Unless there's 3 we vote for and it's 2 and 2 and 3, and then we got to figure something out. But that's the way I see it.
Suggestion then, for logistical purposes and to wrap up this discussion,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to suggest that we take action on the matter of flying this job, posting this job,
Mm-hmm.
as you have very well refined in this, with revisions that both Paul and Carl are going to provide you with. And then, so we'll have a motion to post the job.
Mm-hmm.
Then, I hate to burden you with this, but
You're right. I see where you're going, and you're right.
you solidify everything we just discussed, put out a memo to us.
And then
That way we have a record of it. And then the next meeting, we can move forward with that. We can also, at that next meeting, create a subcommittee. We don't have to do it now, or we can do it now. That's
No, that's perfect.
okay. So I would suggest that what we do here is the action we take is to approve the airport manager notice of job offering with revisions as provided by both Paul and Carl, and authorize Bradley to post that as he sees fit. Tim will post it on our website. We're all free to get this out to the public however we see fit once revised. So let's go there first. Do we have a motion to post this job opportunity as per this notice of job offering
With revisions?
with revisions?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Carl, Paul, please provide Bradley with your revisions. Bradley, when you've incorporated them into this document, get moving on it and send it our way. Okay?
Already.
Okay, fantastic.
Let me go before I give it to you. Okay, we'll do that within a day.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then Bradley, once incorporated, send it our way, but also get it out to the public, no delay. Also, just a thumb vote, if you will, we are tasking Bradley with being the point person for this task of hiring. Just want to make sure we're all on board with that. Yeah? Okay, good deal. And then Bradley, we're going to give you direction to codify that entire process for us, bring it back to us in writing via email. We don't need to vote on that process. Okay. While we were having this discussion, I did check our email for any public comment. Hadn't received any. Danielle?
John has something.
Yes, John.
I'm going to suggest that at the next meeting, Bradley's going to bring us a description of how we're going to accomplish the winnowing process. And as part of that, I think he's going to recommend that we form a committee, a 3-person committee to do interviews.
Right.
I think just in the interest of being expeditious, that we ought to authorize ourselves to put out to the tenants, a notice that we're going to be looking for 2 people to volunteer for that job right now, and so that they can identify themselves and be available by the next meeting to include on the 5-person panel.
Okay.
I can do that.
I was going to say, Tim, do you mind doing that?
I will do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't want to create expectations it's going to be by this time or this time, because the truth of the matter is,
We don't know.
this is going to take as long as it does.
I'll just
We'll
put,
go
yeah,
as fast as we reasonably can, but this is going to take a while.
I'll put out a notice, and it'll just be that we're looking for some participation, times, dates, and the program will be shared at a later date.
And we can also, since Bradley is going to get that job offering refined and ready to publish, you can send that out also, because that'll be a public document. So I'm going to give an opportunity again, Danielle, if we have any members of the public who were on the line and we couldn't speak to them, can we identify them?
Hi, this is Danielle, Public Meetings Clerk for the record. It wouldn't be me. It's actually the person who's facilitating the meetings that can see these callers. So she could let you guys know.
Okay.
It looks like we have one caller on the line. Caller, if you hear the beeps, please let us know whether you're here for public comment or not. Speak your name for public record.
My name is Robert Frank. I am a owner of hangar H15 on the north side of the field.
Hi, Robert.
My comments are pretty basic. I am a hangar owner, and I am also a member of the board on the Carson Air Group. And my comment for the beginning of this thing was simply to generate more business for the airport, make the airport grow. And that was my biggest comment is making this place become a decent airport. And I've had conversations in the past with Ken and interactions with him, and I felt that there's some things that should have been done and basically ignored. And that's my comment.
Well, Robert, this is Michael speaking. I hope you can hear me. I want to thank
Yes.
you. I want to thank you on behalf of the entire airport authority for staying on the line and giving us your comment. If you do know me, please reach out to me via email at any time. If you don't know me, head to the airport website, find my name, and email me. At any given time, happy to speak with you.
Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Steve.
I just had a minor suggestion on implementation, and I made this to Member Harris earlier, that you have a second email address for people to send the resumes to. And if you look back in 2018, we had two different email addresses, and it worked out really well because for whatever reason, one of the email addresses didn't get some of the emails. And so if it's one of you that doesn't have isn't using a Fly Carson City email, that would be optimal. So we have we have Member Harris's email, which is Fly Carson City, and then maybe we either have yours, Chairman Golden, or yours, Mr. Pulitz, or yours, Mr. Hutter, or you can even put mine down. I don't mind being just a ministerial person to funnel them back to the
Yeah,
airport.
I think that's a good idea. It makes no difference to me.
You just pick it. I don't care.
You pick it, Bradley, whoever you want.
Oh, I think I'll make it John.
There you go.
How's that, John?
John is using Fly Carson City email.
Well, he has a personal email we can put
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
no,
mind being a clerk.
No, and that's fine. The only other observation I have, but it's not at this stage, is we want to make sure that people who have the stronger aviation background have a role in this process. We want to make sure that, and this is not a slight on you, Member Harris, don't get me wrong. You have a very strong HR background, which is enormously valuable, but I think we have to couple that with a strong aviation background in this process.
Okay. Danielle, quick question. The caller, did we get his last name? I got his first name was Robert.
Frank.
Frank? Okay, good deal. We're gonna,
last name was?
Frank.
Frank.
Yep. Okay. On that matter, closing out, we're going to head into closed session per Nevada Revised Statute 241.05, subsection 3, Bravo 2. We're going to ask Danielle and her team to vacate the premises while we have a briefing from our legal counsel on a legal matter.
Mr. Chairman, is the manager's report going to be after the closed
Yes.
session? Okay.
right, we are end of closed hearing, back in open session. Tim, airport manager's report. If you'd like to give us the highlights of what you've been doing before you do so, however, I'm going to take the liberty as board chair to call you out. This airport authority should be indebted to Tim beyond belief. He has stepped up and risen to the occasion to fill the seat as interim airport manager. I've worked with him. John has worked with him. Carl stepped in and is doing his thing. Paul stepped in with the FAA, and now Bradley, you're stepping in on the HR side. But Tim is really carrying the weight of the world here on this, and we owe him a debt of gratitude. I just want to recognize him for that and thank you immensely for your efforts.
Well, thank you, Michael. I'm just going to give a brief highlights of the report. If anybody's online, they're welcome to go to the website and download the actual manager's interim report. It gives the detail. But basically, taking over on the being available on the 20, I think it was the 23rd, wasn't it? Yeah, I think
Yes.
it was. Yeah, 23rd. And basically, I was very pleased sitting down with Rick Lee, our maintenance supervisor. He is a terrific individual. He's a cooperative man. He is willing to do whatever's necessary. He assisted me with getting door locks and keys and alarm things and all the necessary things that we have to do just to operate the thing in a very, very cooperative method. So I want to call him out for being a really good addition to our airport. I just had priorities. Basically, I wanted to make sure that I understood everything that has to do with safety and maintenance. Paul came in and helped me with that. Rick sat down with me and we outlined who knew what. And that took place. That was very positive. The fiscal responsibilities, John Rogers stepped up and said he would take off my hands all of the payables, receivables, postings, etc. He's working very closely with Bullis and Company. I have no problems with this at all. It's working out just well. FAA related items were a big priority as well, and we were fortunate to already have a meeting with the FAA people and the DOT people. We also got a chance to meet with the Armstrong Consulting people that came to our office last week. Very informative. I learned a lot about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Very, very pleased that I had a chance to do so in such a short period of time. Michael Golden agreed to take on all these lease agreements that are coming about. We're getting more and more attraction. I got another very interested call today for people looking for possibilities of building hangars and leasing space. And so Michael's agreed to handle that. Carl has agreed to work as our point person for the CTE group, which I'm very grateful for. It's just been terrific just watching this team come together and just move on. We're just getting things done. So I feel very comfortable. What's happening tomorrow is we have you all heard we have new gates, and we have a new access gate system that's been installed and funded by the FAA, but the new card reader system had not been implemented yet. As of tomorrow, the vendor's coming in to start switching over. I was very fortunate to have an airport user, Matt Bowers, who's a flight instructor on the airport, who's also an IT specialist, come in and help me determine if all of the data was in the right place, help me import everything, did a double check, triple check, making sure that we have 596 people that are qualified to have cards. And we'll see how that goes with the switchover tomorrow and Friday, but it's been so wonderful to have people that are just knowledgeable come in and just offer their assistance. They're just, everybody in the airport, whether they felt strongly for or not for the airport manager, it doesn't matter. They're all coming in. They're all just saying, what can I do to help? Very, very, very grateful.
And we have an army,
Yes.
literally, of volunteers
Yeah.
that are airport users,
Yes.
hangar owners, tenants, just people based at the airport who have come forward and said, and they raise their hand, they say, I want to do this.
Yeah. And I have to say, I gotta let you know, one of the reasons, it's unfortunate I couldn't spend more time with Mr. Mullen on a transition, but I gotta tell you, the man is organized, and he had his files in order, he had his documents in order, he had everything current that I could see so far. So that made my job and our exposure to the daily operations far less concerning than I was day one. It's very nice that there's been, I'm not sure if there's anything I haven't been able to find through his copious notes and his copious filing systems. So I'm very grateful for that. I have a long way to go still. I hope that I'm trained enough so when we do pick a new airport manager, I can be instrumental in helping train this person because of just the notes and the training I've done. Oh, and I'm also able to do the website now. I can get in there and post the agenda. I got a half an hour call with our web designer today. Took 20 different steps just to put these silly notices on the website, but I got it. So for the next one, I'm going to try to do it on my own. Lastly, just a couple of quick things about airport activity. The fuel flow for 100 LL was 6,639 gallons, and Jet A was 32,2093. Is that correct, Michael? That's what I got.
Actually, I hate to stand to correct you.
Go ahead.
That's only from the self-serve.
Just self-serve. Okay.
Yeah,
Never got
so
that. Okay.
you'll get numbers from our Elko headquarters,
Okay.
and
great.
they'll tell you what the full service numbers are. You combine both. So, yeah, there was 10,000 gallons of fuel flow off the self-serve in the month of March.
Very
which
good.
is
That wasn't clear on the report, so I'll learn on that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What's really kind of exciting for me is, we started last year we're using this other service for data we were collecting. What was it called? Jet something? JetNets. Yeah, whatever. And I wasn't real pleased because all it was giving us was aircraft coming in with instrument flight plans. It wasn't making me happy with what was happening. Paul Hamilton stepped up and said we can get if we get a couple of these AVS-B sensors installed in the airport, we can get a lot better results in his reporting data. He kind of championed that. Now we're getting excellent aircraft tracking data. And if you look at your attachments from this Motion Info website that I go to, you can see all the different types of activities on the airport. One thing that just stands out to me is last month, we had 1,524 departures recorded and 1,181 arrivals recorded. The reason they're off difference is because when people do practicing and touch and goes, they only count them as departures. So that's what causes the difference. So if you want to know how much practicing is, if you want to see how much practicing is going on, that kind of indicates how many people are sitting there doing their touch and goes and their practice landings, which is interesting. This is data you'd never get. So this is going to help us going forward as we start seeing our growth and seeing the percentage of jets, the percentages of single engine, twin engine, helicopters. It really is a marvelous report, and it's included in the service. I just pull it up anytime I want and I can print out a report, which I love. Thanks, Paul, for getting that to where we are right now. That really helps. And with that, I'm concluding my report.
Again, thank you, Tim. Can't begin to thank you enough. John?
I just want to add one thing that didn't show in the report, but that it did happen, and within a couple of days of Tim becoming interim manager, was our airport ops truck showed up. And so we now have that. And to Rick's credit, it took him like a day to get all of the paperwork, to get it all registered and insurance. And I mean, the guy was on it. So that was another simple thing that Tim got help on that worked out really, really well.
Any airport authority members? Yes. Oh,
Yeah, I just want to emphasize, I see Tim come in, he's there every day almost at 7 o'clock, out at 5. And he is incredibly enthusiastic about doing this job and finding out everything. And we are so lucky to all have him. We'd be in trouble if it wasn't for Tim. So I just can't say enough.
thank you. Carl?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't miss the opportunity to second or third or fourth, the good comments that have been made and the gratitude to Tim for doing yeoman's work here. But above and beyond that, I'll just say that Tim and I have been in very close contact as I have stepped into the role that was mentioned in terms of running point on one of our larger business development projects. And I just wanted to share a couple of details there to keep everybody in the loop. Namely, that yesterday, this week has been long. Yesterday evening, I had the opportunity to meet with Brad Cost, the COO of Stellar Aviation up in Reno, who is the operating partner of Carson Tahoe Executive in the proposed FBO on the current, former Sterling Air leasehold, and also, to a degree, can represent some of the plans and ambitions of the Carson Tahoe Executive Group for possible developments on leased and fee simple land on the airport. So I just had the opportunity to really the first steps in dipping my toe in the water, getting to know the first member of that team. I was over at Steve Lewis's office, so it was with Steve and Brad. And then Treasurer Rogers and I have a meeting tomorrow with Mayor Bagwell. And we're going to, again, I see that in the spirit of getting to meet the players and get perspectives on, some of the conversations that have been had. And I think it'll just be good continued learning. And I look forward to serving the airport and continuing to come to understand what those plans look like. I do can pass along that it seems like the Stellar and CTE team will have more information about what some of the possible ideas might look like in the couple weeks to come. So we should be able to start getting a little bit better picture as to what that all really looks like. And of course, I will work with them to get things together for a presentation to this body and keep them apprised of when our meetings will be, so that we can coordinate that in a way that makes best use of everybody's time and gets us information and gives them decision-making capabilities as efficiently as possible. So that's an update from that side.
Thank you, Carl. Anybody else? Okay. Seeing no more reports from airport authority members, and I know we've already done public comment, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:15.